Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for Honeybee Stamps. This video is part of a video hop. We are going to be using the Christmas calories and then the Lovely Layers Christmas cookies. So I actually am on the Honeybee channel as well, featuring this chalkboard technique. I'm going to do something pretty similar here, but I'm just going to use the middle section. As you can see, that kind of pops out of the Christmas calories. If you'd like a little bit more in-depth explanation of that, I will, well, hopefully you've seen it because it's part of a video hop. So hopefully you already saw that one, and this is just kind of a nice refresher. While I do this portion of it, I am going to talk to you guys a little bit about the hop. There's two $50 gift cards that are going to be given away, so make sure you hit all the hops on the, or all the videos on the hop, and make sure you're leaving some love. That's how you're going to be entered to win. And then also something super exciting as well is the Honeybee. I don't know if you have seen, they're doing an in-person event, which I am super excited about. So we'll chit chat about that a little bit as we go through the card making process. The hop has a short list, so hopefully you guys will be able to get around and see all the videos. Even though there's a short list, it's packed with lots of cool techniques, and you know, the designers from Honeybee are all super talented. So here I am just trimming down my black cardstock. For that chalkboard technique, you do want to make sure that you have trimmed down your whatever you're using, sentiment. I mean, usually the chalkboard writing look is, you know, you have to have a sentiment for it. It's like that hand lettered look. But you do want to make sure you have it trimmed down. And then here, because I'm being lazy and I don't really want to measure, I'm just holding my piece on a piece of craft cardstock. That way I can get the edges, because I didn't measure it when I trimmed it for the black cardstock. So that's kind of like a wonky size. So this is just easier. I just hold it in place, make sure I have even edges, and then, you know, trim it down. So I'm going to use this brilliant white pigment ink from Honeybee, which is the same thing that we stamped in before we did our heat embossing. And then use one of the blender brushes, and I'm just going to add a little bit of this kind of around the edge. When I did my other cards, I was a little bit heavy-handed. I showed in that video a little trick to fix that. This time I knew to be a little bit lighter-handed, and now we're going to move on to the die cuts. So the Lovely Layers series from Honeybee is fantastic. They're always so well done. This one is the Christmas cookies. This does have some other items that it, you know, can be paired with from the release, but I thought it would be really cute to do like the little chalkboard, almost like a sugar cookie charcuterie kind of look, like where we had the Christmas calories don't count kind of down on the frame, and then the like the little sugar cookies kind of laying around it. I thought that would be really cute. So that's my game plan. I'm cutting all of the base pieces out of that craft cardstock. I will be adding some ink blending, but this is just going to make it easier for me to get that gingerbread look, having a brown card base. And then everything else I'm cutting out of white. Because this is, because they are like meant to be sugar cookies, you don't have to do all the shading and stuff like I normally do, and I am going to do on this one, because it would look perfectly fine just being cut out of colored cardstock, because that's typically what you see when somebody decorates sugar cookies. They aren't shading them and all of that. Now, some of them do get fancy with the airbrushing and things like that to add some shadows. So we're going to pretend that my cookies are the fancy airbrushed cookies, just because I enjoy the coloring portion. So in order to get the gingerbread look, I'm doing a couple of different things. I'm using a lighter brown, and then maybe a medium to darker brown, just to put some color on these little guys so they look like they're baked up. And I chose brushed corduroy and gathered twigs. I'm going to be honest, I think this little brush also has some of that scorched timber kind of left on it from my other ones. And that's fine. It's kind of haphazard how I'm adding the shading, because I want there to be darker and lighter areas, which is going to add more interest. And then I'm also going to do some spatters. Don't mind me while I cover up my my white die cuts, because I don't have a spray box. So instead of spraying my distress stain, I am going to just spatter it kind of off the end of the tube. This one is walnut stain, because gingerbread typically has a little bit more color variation in it. So then this one is just for fun, really. This is the Distress Spray Stain in Tarnished Brass. You could get a very similar look using Perfect Pearls if you have that. For some finer spatters, I did smush down some of this brushed corduroy, picked it up with a smaller brush after I added a little bit of water, and then I'm using that to spatter as well, just for a finer texture than the big ones you see from the walnut stain. So then I'm going to use a paper towel. I'm going to go right over top of that, blot up any extra ink, and then I'm going to set those aside to dry while I work on doing the separation and all of that. Everything got separated out. There is something to be said about doing them all in white, which gives you the ultimate customization, but it is tricky to try to figure out what all the things are if you don't cut and separate them one at a time, which I don't, because I don't love the fiddly bits. I don't love the fiddly bits. And so I can see how, because I am kind of impatient with the die cutting, that I kind of handicap myself a little bit, but it's okay. It just takes a little longer to sort through. Here, I did forget my little frame for my sentiment board. I forgot to add some shading to that, so I'm just going to go back and do that again with the same inks that I used. I'm not going to do the spatters because I'm not looking for that same kind of textured look for the gingerbread. So I'm just going to do the ink blending, kind of added the darkness kind of more around the corners. And then I'm going to call that good. So now from here, I am going to zoom in. There's not that there's no coloring, there is some coloring, but it's not like a crazy ton, because I did the snowman, I did the Santa, that's a lot of white. The snowflake is all white. I didn't even color that one. So I think if you had to do a quick card where you really wanted something impressive, I would recommend doing the snowflake. Or you know what, if you're coloring's not my thing, you could totally do all of these in white, all of the details in white. And I think that gingerbread in white would look so pretty, so kind of elegant. I thought about doing that and I was like, no, I really want to add color. But that's just something else to think about. So I don't remember if I shared this with you guys back when we were doing it. But so for Christmas, I bought my mom, both my sisters, and my nieces, what would you even call that? I don't want to say custom because that wasn't accurate. A private cookie decoration class. And so that was my gift from them, the gift of time and us spending time together. Plus my mom always used to do make our cakes and all that stuff. And now I do that for my kids. In fact, my little jelly beans third birthday is today, if you can even believe that. Can you guys believe it? She's 3. My last baby's 3 years old. I can't believe how fast time is going. But nonetheless, that's a different a story for a different time. So here, once I have added the shading to the hat, I'm going to line that up onto my gingerbread base, and then I can add my the top beard and the what do you call that? The trim? Yeah, trim. That tracks. The trim on the hat goes on there, and we did add just a little bit of shading to that. I think I accidentally cut it, but I did add minimal shading to that little pom-pom on the end of his hat, and then his nose and his little eyes. and then he'll be finished. So each one of these, as we color them, we'll adhere everything together and then just move on to the next. So that way I'm not losing any of the pieces parts. So yeah, anyway, so we did that cookie decorating class, and it was a ton of fun, first of all. I think you can always tell when like something isn't necessarily somebody's bag. So like my sister, my oldest sister, I don't think it was necessarily something that she was like, yeah, let's do it again. And my middle sister is kind of OCD, so I don't necessarily know that it was that enjoyable for her, but my mom and I had a great time, and I think my nieces did as well. So, she taught us all like how to flood the cookies and the different consistencies, and in our little bags, we got a recipe for the royal icing. And then she brought like a dehydrator with her. So as we were kind of finishing up each step, she would pop them in the dehydrator so that the frosting would set and we wouldn't have to wait hours for it to dry, and then we could move on to the next step. So that was so fun. Really, really fun. Would highly recommend if you're looking for, a way to spend time together with the holidays, do that. That was super fun. But anywho, let's talk about this event. So Honeybee is turning 10. I cannot believe it. Just like all the years are going by. My daughter's getting older. Honeybee's getting older. And I have been with them for quite some time. 7 years, maybe 8. I'm not 100% sure, but I haven't been around since the very, very beginning, but it's been pretty close. As far as like working with them, supporting them, like as a stamp company, I'm sure I was buying their stuff before I started working with them. That's probably how they ended up reaching out to me to do work for them. But anyway, so Melissa and Lisa, I love Lisa. She's one of my closest friends, adore her. And then Kelly, they're all really good people. I am super excited to see them in person. So basically the home of Honeybee is Lebanon, Oregon. And this is where they're going to be hosting this in-person event. It is March of 2025. The 28th and 29th, I think. And the whole purpose of it outside, you know what I mean, is like the teaching but also for us to be able to like hang out and spend time together. So they have intentions of doing all of these birthday celebrations, which is so great. And then setting up, space for everybody to be able to sit together and craft, do challenges, make and takes. There's a bunch of designers that, from Honeybee, from the design team that will be there. And then God willing, and that it works out for us. I will be there teaching for Honeybee, teaching some classes at the live event. I will pack my anxiety medication and probably my husband because I can't travel alone. I can barely travel with somebody, let's be honest. But I think it'll be totally worth it. I'm super excited. I love that they are putting it out there. Now, there is a limited amount of space, because there's only so many seats in the event center. But you would put down your down payment to hold your spot. And then they are offering, which I love because everybody's in a different situation. They are offering kind of like a payment plan where you could break it up into different payments, which I think is really, really great. And then, they're doing exclusive items. They're doing swag bags and just all kinds of cool stuff to celebrate for their birthday. And, then you get to meet people in the, maybe that you've watched their videos or other crafters that online. Like, I'm stoked to be able to meet a bunch of you guys, or if we've met before, be able to see each other again, and to be able to see my friends from Honeybee and on the design team. So I am super excited about that. Hopefully everything works out, and I will be there with a limited amount of issues. So I will link that below if you are interested in checking out some more information for the event. just I think it's so fun. Like, I know there's a ton of online events, which for me and my travel anxiety really is a wonderful thing, to be able to, do that from home. But I think there is something really special about getting together with people in person and touching base and spending time together, crafting together. Please don't be shy. Please say hello. I would love to meet you. I would love to answer any of your questions, and I'm excited to get to kind of craft with you guys. And of course, teach the classes. So very, very exciting news. With that said, there are, like, I don't plan on doing much travel next year, just because, like, just some things that are going on in my personal life. But I am making an exception for just one or two teaching opportunities that I am excited about. So you saw we just did the candy cane, and then for this little tree, I think this tree is adorable. Do you guys do sugar cookies for Christmas? I wish that I could. I wish I could do the sugar cookies. Here's where my hang up is with the sugar cookies. It is the rolling of the dough. Like, it's a whole process. You got to, like, chill it and then roll it, and then, make sure that you don't roll it too thin, or it's not too tough, or you don't, overwork the dough. That's a lot. Like, if I could just buy, and I'm telling you, that's what some of these bakeries do, and they probably make bank on it, and good for them. I'm grateful for the opportunity. Like, they sell the cookies that you can, like, buy them in a kit. And then you just have to, decorate them. I am here for that. I am here for the decorating. I know not everybody enjoys that part, and I do love baking. But anything where I have to roll it out, or like doing breads where I have to, like, let the yeast rise and all of that stuff, that's not for me. So here in the Christmas cookie set, there is this, I think it cuts out like 12, maybe more. I don't know. I didn't count, truthfully. Little lights for you to put on the tree. So since the tree is green, I just did a red and white. I left the white ones white. I didn't add any shading to them, just to decorate my little tree. And if you are unfamiliar with the lovely layers, these ones have, and you can, I think, kind of see them, especially like this Santa with his eyes. I don't know if you caught that when we were working on that part. But they have like little impressions so that you can see where you need to put your top layer, and it just kind of fits right in there, which is really, really nice. Just for that extra little bit of, like, making sure the spacing is proper. The other thing that you may have noticed is I'm using my tweezers a lot. Love the Honeybee reverse grip tweezers. I used to totally be a tweezer snob and be like, I don't need tweezers to craft. And then I got tweezers and I realized that it makes it much more enjoyable, especially for the finicky bits that I don't like to deal with. But then for these smaller pieces, I also am using the Studio... nope, that's wrong. What's it called, guys? What is it? There's a bunch of them out there. Crystal Katana, that's what it is. So I use that, and there's other ones on the market as well, but that's the original, and she holds the patent for that, so I do try to use the original the vast majority of the time. So here, this is that same kind of, like we talked about before, that old school chalk look, and you can find that video. That video kicked off the hop over on the Honeybee channel. So that will be there if you're more interested. It will be linked below. And then I did mount this on, this is some cranberry cards. Is it called cranberry? Is it? It's either cranberry from Hero Arts or it is crimson from Spellbinders. I think it's crimson from Spellbinders, truly. But I'll double check it and then I will link below. So here I kind of got my layout going on for what I want to do with my little cookies. I feel fine putting some cookies kind of over the edge of the sentiment. It's still legible. And I mean, ultimately the sentiment isn't the focal point. well, it is, but these are the supporting actors. I want them all to work together. So here I was being lazy and I didn't want to have to go through and do the press and seal, the hinge method. That really is the best way to do it, but I was being lazy. I can own that. So here I'm just putting a little bit of glue kind of on some of the points of the snowflake so that I can pick up the other items. I'm going to do the same thing here. I put it on the edge of the holly and the Christmas tree, and then I will press them into the snowman and the Santa, and then I can pick it all up as one piece. So for the sentiment, I am going to adhere that down flat. I wanted them to have some lift. I wanted my cookies to have a little bit of lift, but not so much that it was going to be problematic. I just wanted them to look like they were sitting on top of the board. So in order to do that, I am actually using these strips. These are the white foam strips from Honeybee themselves, and they are thinner. They're only 1/32 of an inch. they are on the thinner side, but sometimes that's all you need is just a little lift, and it's going to make it so like it'll mail out easier, which I don't really mail mine. My Christmas cards I do use, but typically I hand deliver them just wherever I happen to be going. But anywho, so you can see I put that foam tape all over the back of this. I spared you all of the little cuttings of the teeny tiny little pieces. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this into place. Now for our next step, could I have done it before I adhered everything? Yes, absolutely. Would that have been easier? Sure. Would it have taken longer? Yes, definitely. And that's why I didn't do it. Follow me for more lazy crafting hacks. So basically, I wanted to add some sugar or glitter to my die cuts, but I didn't want to have to wait for them to dry. So I'm going to use my glossy accents to put down some clear adhesive. And then this is actually the die release tool from Honeybee. And on the one side, it looks like almost like a little scoop. I am going to use that little scoop to put the glitter onto my sugar cookies. So I just scoop it up, sprinkle it on, and then dump off the excess. Now, is it going to get kind of caught in the crevices? Yes, it is. When that happens, like when I dump off the excess, so I'll dump it one way, I'll turn it, and then dump it the other way to make sure I'm not getting anything trapped. And then that was it. That finished off the card. So I hope you guys will check out the event. Please continue on along the hop. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.